about 13 to 78 all the way, who've done a lot of work around the community in terms of environmental activities, right from March through right now. So this is part of Sewa's collaboration with AmeriCorps to encourage volunteering in the community and commemorate 9/11. As you all know, 9/11 is observed as a day of service. So this is our way of contributing to the community. And for those of you who may not know, Sewa International is a community service organization that's based out of 40 different chapters in the United States, with Chicago being one of the most active ones. We also have many international chapters. We primarily work on disaster management, disaster recovery. We also work on health and education. And a big pillar is volunteer development. And many of the youth you see here are part of our volunteer corps. We start them on the volunteer path early in their lives, and many of them have been part of our program for multiple years now. But today, the focus is on commemorating 9/11 and commemorating our veterans and our esteemed guests today. So thank you all for joining. And we're going to get started with the national anthem that will be sung by Abhinav Rajaraman. And we have our veterans from the American Legion Palatine post, and they're going to be bringing the flags to the front. So Abhinav, if you want to come up on stage. We request the audience to rise and put your hearts on your hand as we sing the national anthem. Thank you.
Okay. Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of free and the home of the brave?
Thank you, Abhinav Rajaraman. We will continue with the Pledge of Allegiance. Please stay on your feet for now, and I'm inviting Kashish for that.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America,
and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, for liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Kashish. You may all be seated. Thank you. And we want to thank our American Legion veterans from the Palatine Post who brought the flags here. And the amazing thing is that they represent multiple generations from the 50s to the 2000s. So let's give them a big round of applause for joining us today. And we are really honored by your presence. Okay. We'll get started with the program. So I want to start with the agenda. We already finished our Pledge of Allegiance. We're going to go through a quick overview of the program. I already mentioned a little bit, but we'll go a little bit more in depth. And then we will invite Dr. Ashish Sharma from the University of Illinois System. And he'll be our keynote speaker. He's a conservation expert. Since today is commemorating 9/11 and focusing on the environmental service, we had invited Dr. Sharma to be our keynote speaker, which is very appropriate. We also have Peggy Shapiro, would stand with us. And Peggy has also been an ongoing supporter for us. We appreciate that. We will, I don't believe Dr. Parth Patel is here yet, but I think he's planning to join us. He's an Army doctor who's expected to join us today. And we also have our American Legion members, Ed, Mark, Mike, and Cliff, as mentioned before. We also have Vidya Nahar ji, who's a Sewa advisor and a prominent yoga practitioner. Most of us know her by first name. And she will be leading some yoga and meditation activities before we jump into, and it is not specifically it was meant to be, it is not meant to be a surprise, but Vidya ji already knows that. After the speeches, we'll probably put the yoga in between the speeches, so it's not back-to-back speeches. And then we'll be honoring our delegates and thanking all our volunteers who've done multiple activities. We'll go over the details around the communities across Chicago and this year, and then with some light dinner. All right, what is Sewa Day of Service? Sewa Day of Service is serving locally. So Sewa does a lot of projects locally in our communities that we live in. We also do a lot of international projects in India and many other countries. And one of the biggest examples was the service we did during the COVID pandemic. We provided oxygenators and many other medical needs for a lot of communities here in the United States and many other countries around the world. And before I go further, what does the word Sewa mean? A lot of people ask that question. Sewa is an acronym. I hope you all can hear me okay. Thank you. Sewa is a Sanskrit word for selfless service. Basically, it stands for serving the community. And that's one of the core principles underlying our belief. So Sewa is a Hindu faith-based organization, like all the other faith-based organizations. We work, of course, with all of the community, but our values that are underpinning Sewa are the concept of universal family, or what we call Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam, which means the whole world is a family. And Sewa represents selfless service, and that's who we are. So in terms of this Sewa Day of Service, the focus is on all the local projects in our communities. So the idea was to start them early in the year. We started back in March and culminated around September 11th, which was recently observed. And the idea is to serve our local communities and ensure environmental justice. And our collaboration has been with AmeriCorps, which is our federal agency, as we all know, which focuses on encouraging volunteerism in our communities. We also partnered with 911day.org, which focuses on service activities around the 9/11 ceremonies. And then we also have worked with a bunch of local organizations, which we'll talk about shortly here. And the goal, of course, is volunteer development, which underpins a lot of the activities that we do. Environmental stewardship, we want to give an environment to our future generation, which is better off than what we are in. That's the goal. And I'm sure Dr. Sharma will completely agree with that. We also want to remember 9/11 through what we say unity, resilience, and service. So we've done this through several projects: planting roads, cleaning up parks, roads, and creating environmental awareness through seminars and through various community engagement projects. So this is the overall project, and I want to quickly play this video. It's not too long, and I hope it plays well. Okay, maybe not.
Click one more time.
All right, there it is. It popped up, except that it's not popping on the screen. It's probably not visible from here. I'm going to skip this in the interest of time. Let's move forward to the next one. Okay. So the impact we've created, we've had over 3,100 volunteers, almost 8,000 hours of service. I'm not going to slide here, but we worked in 75 plus cities across the United States with many, many partners and beneficiaries. We've had over 100 events across the country. So what did we do in Chicago? So that's the overall national picture, and there were 16 chapters of Sewa that was involved in these activities, including Chicago. So we started back in March, and some of you may know the Isha Foundation with Sadhguru. He does a lot of work focusing on soil and conservation. Many of our volunteers were there. So we created awareness about what we do as humans that make soil more dangerous. So how can we help? And we also did some meditation to elevate the human consciousness under the guidance of Sadhguru. And we had over 64 volunteers. That was one of our largest events. We did meditation, we had a presentation on Save Soil, and we had a full event where many of our volunteers actually planted seeds for fruits and vegetables in a compostable cup. So you could just take it home, just drop it in your yard or in your pots, and you're good to go. No waste created because it's all biodegradable. So that is how we started the year. Then we did a couple of activities to clean up our parks. So the first activity was actually to do mulching. This was back in June in the Naperville area. We partnered with the Naperville Park District to weed the parks and to get the mulching done. As you can see in the pictures, they may not be very clear from the back, but most of it recognize the work we're doing. So we did complete this mulching at the Arrowhead Park with over 10 volunteers. We completed almost 23 acres of the park and a total of 32 trees. These are giant trees, and we went around. I see some nods there. Some of the people who've done the hard work can recognize. And we also did the very next day, that weekend was a busy weekend for all of us. We did a community park cleanup in this park called the Country Lakes Park, again in Naperville. This was also with Naperville Park District. And we had over 15 volunteers who helped with all the cleanup. And some of the volunteers are here today, so I'm sure you're having some good memories. And then this was another big project. Most of you are aware of the Conservation Foundation. They're based out of Naperville, but they're active across the region. So they provide a lot of environment-related services and consulting and support. And they had adopted this region in Dayton Bluffs for environmental restoration. So about 22 of our volunteers went to that place, and we were able to remove a lot of the honeysuckle. And this is something I learned, and we talked about environmental awareness at the beginning. So with the honeysuckle, while they look nice and beautiful, they're actually weeds. And they actually prevent the growth of good plants because they grow so tall and in a bush, and they prevent the sunlight. So that means that the good plants cannot grow. So we cleared out as much honeysuckle as possible so we could help the good plants grow. So that was the goal of this event. And then we did this project, Save the World One Bag at a Time. And the goal of this project is that we all use a lot of plastic bags. Sometimes it's convenient, but we end up throwing a lot into the garbage or into our water streams and things like that. We want to try and minimize it. Obviously, there are millions and millions of bags out there, and we're not going to stop them overnight, but we'll have to start somewhere. So this project, basically, it's very simple conceptually. We buy plain cloth bags, and then we provide markers. You paint them, whatever you want to put. It may be your name, your organization logo, a nice beautiful picture like you see here, and use them as reusable grocery bags. And today, we do have a table here with many bags and many fabric markers. If you have some time during dinner or when you have a break, please grab one of those bags, paint, and then take it away. This is one of our gifts for tonight. We had over 34 volunteers, and they all took a bag and then did their own creative work. Then e-waste, right? We all have devices, sometimes multiple devices. We keep upgrading them. I'm also guilty, all of us are guilty. So we generate a lot of e-waste, unfortunately. And this has been a problem for the last, decade or so, maybe even longer. It used to be more laptops and bigger computers and monitors, but now it's the smaller devices which are even harder because there's such a proliferation. So what we did with our community partners is that you see in some of these pictures, we collected a lot of e-waste, including some 40-year-old monitors and microwaves to some newer devices. And then with our partner Ava Recycling, we were able to collect them and then give it to them so that they can dispose them off responsibly and not collect to our landfills. And we had about 7 volunteers who helped us across this event, including collecting from our communities and making sure they get boxed and dropped off at their facility. And just last week, or actually one last week and one this week, we did work with Lamb's Farm, and some of you in the area may recognize it. They are literally a farm, but they also employ a lot of differently abled people who have developmental disabilities, and they help train them with life skills and make them independent. So the goal, of course, for Sewa was to work with a community organization that helps our community, but also we worked with them to help with the landscaping. We made a bunch of hay bags, and these hay bags are used, it's a way to reuse natural waste, otherwise you're just going to dump them or burn them. So what we did was we make these hay bags, and they actually sell them to the visitors, and that's a good way for them to raise money. And then they have a cool petting zoo, so when you go with families or your children, you're going to use these bags to feed those animals. So it's a good way of reusing our natural resources and not adding to the landfill again. So this was something that we did over the last 2 Fridays, and just 2 days ago. And I want to give a quick shout out to Raghavinder Banerjee ji, if you want to raise quickly. He's a 78-year-old volunteer, and please give him a round of applause. He was standing the whole 3 hours as long as all of our quote-unquote younger guys were there. And he did not flinch. He did everything we did and even better. So thank you. So that's the Sewa Day of Service, and there's more information on sewadayofservice.org. So if you get it, please check it out, and then we'll be continuing this every year is the plan. All right. So we are going to stop here, and I'm going to first invite Dr. Ashish Sharma. Dr. Ashish Sharma is from the UOY system, and we know him through our good volunteer supporter, Nagesh Rai and Aparna Rai. They have introduced Dr. Ashish Rai to us, and we are very thankful for that. And we are inviting Dr. Ashish Sharma to come to the stage, and you know, to connect the laptop, yes. Yes.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you so much. I'm Ashish. I lead the Climate and Urban Sustainability Program at Discovery Partners Institute, which is at University of Learner System. A few of you who don't understand what when we say University of Learner System means, Chicago and Springfield, and all 3 universities are under University of Learner System. So I'm housed at the system office, but also as a faculty in atmospheric sciences at Champaign. I'm going to talk a little bit about a few things that align with our mission and Sewa's mission, primarily focusing on empowering communities with science and education. little bit background from where I come from. So at Discovery Partners Institute, as the name suggests, we are a partner institute of 18 plus international and domestic partners, which includes University of Minnesota, all three sister universities, University of Chicago, Northwestern U Chicago, Icon Fermilab, and a lot of international partners from India. We have IIT Bombay, Cardiff University, Israel, Taiwan, and National University of Singapore, and so on. We do primarily three things: prepare people for in-demand jobs. We do a lot of upskilling as well. How do we make sure we have next generation of young scientists who can really take new jobs? We fund applied R&D teams, research and development teams to really expand the tech research base. And also we have a venture capital arm as well, so that we can really start new companies from University of Minnesota. I realized there would be a few students here, so I thought to include few things that the students would be interested in. We have a tech talent program where our vision is to train 1,000 plus teachers per year, over 2,000 students per year, and around 75,000 students per year. So we do a lot of programs where we teach the students, teach the teachers as well, so training the trainers program, and we also run a lot of high school and undergraduate internship programs. And if the students are interested, please reach out to me, and we can find ways in which you could do summer or internships otherwise throughout the year. As I looked at the Sewa website, I found few synergies. First, related to education, and second, related to disasters, right? So in education, as a climate scientist, we have a climate education training program where we really develop climate education training modules. For example, we work with Excellent Energy to really train the forefront or the first responders when environmental risks happens, so that they can really understand what climate change means. We are open to making those training programs available to municipalities, to agencies, and students and education system as a whole, so that they can be much more aware of what climate change means. So at Applied R&D, we do a lot of things. We work on artificial intelligence and machine learning, high performance computing, big data, quantum computing, distributed systems, and cybersecurity, and applying those kind of technologies into multiple sectors. So it could be food and agriculture, climate, transportation, finance, information tech, and digital governance. We are trying to create cross-disciplinary outcomes so that students and teachers and our partners can really understand what are the issues that they face and how can they partner to address those issues. So I'm a climate scientist, so I'll talk a lot about climate. And try to find, we usually speak for an hour to talk about it really in detail of what we do, but this is a little bit of more an overview of the things that we do. I'm going to talk a little bit about climate change. A lot of people do not understand climate change, and they try to misrepresent it and try to confuse with global warming and climate change. So if you think about a change is inevitable. Climate is changing. It is not stationary, it is a non-stationary behavior. So if you think of very simple, the differences between weather and climate, you can imagine weather is kind of a tree, but climate is an analogy of frost. Likewise, weather could represent a mood of a person, while climate is the personality of a person. So weather basically is what you are seeing over the next short duration of time, over the next 2-3 days or a week, while climate is a long-term mean of multiple years that you see. So the people who have gray hair, they might know how the climate or the weather back 30 years was and how is it now. That's the difference that you see is called climate, and weather is what's happening today, how was it yesterday, and so on. So if we look at a lot of disasters that are happening at weather scales, this is the map I downloaded it today morning. This is all the disasters we are listing here, which are over $1 billion events. So if you look at it, there are events happening all across the US. This is till August 2024, just a year. So in the Great Lakes and the Midwest region, we are impacted a lot by storms. So storms is one of the major disasters that we face. Likewise, if we look over the last 30-40 years, since 1980 to 2024, you can see the disasters, the $1 billion disasters are increasing every year. Okay. So this really represents that we need to really understand why is it happening and address those issues by climate adaptation and mitigation topics. And this is the data till August 2024. We haven't completed the year. I'm pretty confident that we would surpass the last year record. So I'm going to explain the whole thing in a very conceptual framework. And if you have questions, please do not hesitate to ask me in between. If we imagine a state and energy, right? State is wherever you are right now. You can imagine, you can think you are in a very high energy state. This is the state we are in right now. And it is likely that we might be in a different state maybe 30, 40, or 100 years down the road. So what we see today are the fluctuations in our state, which are known as perturbations. And because of natural variability, you can see a lot of extremes happening today. And all the focus that we have is so that we do not cross this threshold. If we cross a particular threshold, that's what international IPCC report says, okay, if you cross 1.5 degrees or 2 degrees, we might not come back to our original state. So we really want not to cross this threshold. It is, so let's think of it in a different way. We humans always love inertia, right? If wherever we have jobs, we like those conditions, we do not want to change. Planet Earth has been for billions of years and will be there for many, many, many more years. But as humans, we are adapted to the current living conditions and we do not want to change them. And that is the whole purpose of addressing the climate change issues, so that we don't know what inevitable holds us at this stage and we should not cross that. Okay, so this could be an irreversible change, and we need to really understand the vulnerabilities so that we can reduce them, so that we do not cross and have a different path because of the extreme events that we face. So what options do we have? I think I would have really benefit from a clicker, but what options do we have? No, I think I managed them. So we either could mitigate. You have heard of these terms, mitigation, adaptation, and so on. What does those terms really mean? Mitigate means to really reduce heat sources or enhance the sinks so that we can control or reduce the climate change impacts. Or we could do adaptation. Adaptation means things are going to happen. How can we adjust our lifestyles and our infrastructure so that we can take care of the changes that are coming in the near or far future? Or what could be the other option? Nothing. You do nothing, you suffer, you wait and watch, and then as things come across you and you take advantage of that and then make decisions at that time. So I'll ask this question: what are we going to do? Okay? As human beings, we try to do multiple things. We try to either adapt, we either try to mitigate, or we at times let go things. So we are going to do a mix of everything so that we can really address these issues. However, the more mitigation you do, the less you will have to adapt, and the less there will be less suffering. So, said all that, as Sewa and other organizations, as a non-profit organization, you are trying to do work at the grassroots level. Climate change impacts are global, but the solutions are local. And this is where I really appreciate work done by multiple non-profits, including yours, where you're trying to address these issues at a very hyper-local level. Okay. So this brings us to the things that we do. I run climate program at University of Lunar System. We call this Climate R&D Hub, where I'm a climate scientist by training. So we have really strong climate modeling expertise. This is where our strengths are, and we diversify to do a lot of applied research, policy impacts. We have written a lot of policy memos around the Great Lakes research, Illinois climate assessment reports, and so on. We do a lot of work on environmental justice. We work with industry to come up with solutions and tackle their problems, work on climate education and so on. So we call it this is our climate tree, where we are trying to stem out to do things which really matters and make our communities a lot more resilient. What do you see here? Okay, this is a drone image looking at the Chicago downtown, and as you can see, there are few things. This is land, this is atmosphere, and this is where we call it boundary layer, or things that really impact us. A very small layer between land and atmosphere. Imagine the havoc we have created by only working on, in a very thin layer that is impacting and creating climate change. So the issues that we are facing are related to flooding, heat, marginalization, tornadoes, and so on. And I'm going to show you this video. This is a very simple infrared camera video showing over Chicago downtown. Is it playing? Yes. What you can see is we have really created tall skyscrapers and a lot of built environment. And this built environment is creating and absorbing a lot of heat. As an example, it impacts air quality and storms and so on as well. But how can we make sure that we can make it a lot more resilient? Even we as humans really create impact on urban issues. You can see what you could see one of my colleagues passing by right now here. Humans also produce heat. So how humans can be part of the problem and can also be part of the solutions. As you can imagine, right now around 50% of the world population lives in cities. By over 2050, it would be around 70% population. So there will be a lot more population moving into cities. So we need to be careful, how can we make our environment a lot more resilient and sustainable? If you look at current environment, this is very stressed. Here, you can see a cross-section of Chicago area. We have lake or water body, which is Lake Michigan. We have a built infrastructure. We have industrial sector and Midwest agricultural belt. Because of the way we are doing things right now, we have a lot of energy stress and heat stress, and that is also resulting to higher crime rates. Chicago, you all know, is one of the cities with higher crime rates, and that we are studying implications of how higher temperature and environmental hazards also lead to crime behavior. What we really want, and what my urban utopia is, how can we make resilient urban environments where we have low energy stress, low heat stress, better air quality, as well as happy and sustainable communities. You could see here, if you look carefully, there's a lot of crime happening here, people fighting, and then if we produce something like this, which is with a lot more sustainable choices, we can see happy and healthy communities as well. And don't forget the health disasters that we face, for example, like COVID-19. How do we address those when we look at resilient urban infrastructure? So we try to address these issues and the complexity within them in using research methods and partnerships with communities and people. Just a few statistics. We have worked on Great Lakes Climate Assessment Report, which we shared at Capitol Hill with our decision makers, Illinois Climate Assessment Report, and the Chicago Region Climate Action Plan. We have really worked with communities and different sectors to come up with these documents. The climate impact in Chicago, just a few statistics for students and to know how climate has been changing over the Chicago region or northern Illinois. The nighttime temperatures have risen about 2 degrees Fahrenheit, which is 3 times the rate of daytime warming, which is causing an increase in number of warm summer nights and a decrease in number of freezing winter nights. I'll give you an example of what 2 degrees Fahrenheit means. If you, at your home, you can do an experiment to try to keep your thermostat at 69 degrees and then keep it at 72 degrees. You will see your energy consumption decreasing substantially. Okay, this is how 2 degrees matters. Okay. Likewise, a lot of impacts we have seen in the Chicago, you must have known, the mid-90s heat wave in Chicago where many people died. I don't see any consensus in the historical records of 500 died or 1,000 died, but there were many people died. And heat is something which is called as a silent killer. Okay, so people don't realize how heat can really translate into human death, but is a major reason for human mortality. And overall, Illinois climate is going to change, and especially going to impact urban and rural communities and associated sector related to transportation or built infrastructure. If we look at till 2100th century, we are going to see warm nights and hot days, and those statistics are staggering. A lot more warm days and hot nights we are going to see in different potential scenarios that we could have. Low emission scenario is the scenario where we do a lot of good things, a lot of efforts to really do conservation, do climate adaptation or mitigation, still we are going to see. So, but we need to really push ourselves hard to make sure we are taking care of that and doing what needs to be done. So, we are really interested in WMO's effort to address environmental hazards. And if you look at WMO's pillars, there are disaster risk knowledge, observations and forecasting, preparedness and response, and dissemination and communication. As I was going through the Sewa website, I realized disaster risk knowledge is something where Sewa's mission is aligned, but we at the university work in all multiple other facets. For example, if you really look at early warnings can translate into early actions. Okay, disaster is something which has already occurred. You're helping communities recover thereafter. But how can we make sure that we do not have a disaster in the first place or have very reduced impacts because of the disasters? That's what early warning systems are. So how can we connect weather and climate scales? We are a lot driven by financial lens when we look at these things. So if we are looking at early warning, you can really think of a lot of benefits, which are in financial terms called first dividend, second dividend, and third dividends, where we can look at the cost because of avoided losses, induced economic or developmental benefits, as well as social and environmental benefits. So this is something our group is really focusing on. How can we make sure we really work on early warning systems so that we have to deal less with disaster and disaster management? I'll give you a few examples of the things that we are doing. How much time do I have? Can I go 5 more minutes? Yeah. Okay. So if you look at overlooked and underserved disadvantage around the Chicago metro area, you can see this is the map that is published by Northeast Climate and Environmental Justice Organization. You can think of this in aspects. First is from an environment, and second is from social demographic. From an environmental lens, you can see we are on a path of enhanced environmental stresses, okay, because of changes in temperature, precipitation, air quality, and so on. While from a demographic lens, we really are going on a path of persistent inequity. If you look at Chicago itself, city of Chicago is the 8th in income inequity right now. In fact, if you go 1980s and 70s, you might see a lot of median income which was common within Chicago, but now there's a polarity in Chicago. South side of the Chicago, north side of the Chicago, as the conversations go on. So how can we make sure a lot of investments that the federal government is doing through IRA or otherwise are a lot more equitable if you look at clean transportation, clean energy, and so on. So that's where a lot of push through the IRA is going on right now. And along these lines, we are developing toolkits so that we can really help communities to make decisions, help agencies to make decisions, and maybe also community members and non-profit organizations to look at it. This is just a few examples of the toolkits that we are developing. This is around the city of Chicago itself, where we are trying to show how can you prepare for an early warning, as an early warning system, so that communities can make informed decisions over the next 2-3 days of what they need to do. So on the website and have a look at this toolkit much more deeper. And communities, we are already talking with communities and non-profit and the local governments to make something like this active within Chicago. Likewise, we also have capability to create tools which are useful for communities. We have National Weather Service who issues a lot of warnings, but a lot of the data set that you see is at a very coarse resolution. We are really interested in things and its scales matters to us. How is it going to impact within my neighborhood or at my household level? So you can see we are creating these tools that can really give information which is tailored to the households at those scales. Likewise, I'm going to highlight a few projects that we have just to tell you the scope of and the space in which we play. We are working in India. We are working on air quality issues in India. This is Delhi's PM 2.5 levels, and a lot of community members here are from India, so they might understand this. We have really poor air quality in India. So how do we make sure, and the government reacts, whenever the air pollution levels are really, really high, because of the Supreme Court order, the Central Pollution Control Board issues an order and things stop. shops get closed. There is order, even rule related to automobile or transportation sector, and so on. But what we are trying to do work in India is how can we make proactive measures so that we don't have to face these kind of issues? How can we include cleaner transportation, changes in user behavior so that we can address these kind of issues while making sure there is climate education for communities and stakeholders and the decision makers. Likewise, within Chicago, we have a $25 million investment from US Department of Energy to really develop Chicago as an integrated urban field laboratory where we are working with communities from bottom up, grounds up, to look at the problems that they face and create models and scenarios and solutions so that we can really address those issues and advance science so that we can really help not just Chicago but other parts of the world. Okay. If you want to know a little bit more about it, please visit crocus-urban.org. Our project is called as Crocus, Community Science through Community Research, Climate and Urban Science. Likewise, transportation sector accounts for 30% of emissions. First is the built infrastructure, second is transportation. So, National Science Foundation gave us around, jointly with UK, we have around $11 million to really understand the relationship between climate, energy, data science, transportation to address issues related to decarbonizing the transportation sector within the region. And how can we learn those kind of things from what happens within the Great Lakes region as well as our counterparts in the UK, and then scale it to other parts of the world. We have a lot of partners here as well, of course led by our University of Illinois system, both Urbana-Champaign and UIC campus, as well as our UK counterparts in Birmingham and Cardiff. And we are partnering with a lot of non-profit organizations, industry, as well as departments of transportation at both places. And then the whole idea is, as I saw the previous talk, to really address environmental justice issues. You do whatever you do within the science really has to impact environmental justice, education as the outcomes. How can we really advance and make people and communities aware of how they need to, what behavioral changes they need to do, and what kind of choices that they have. Okay, I believe this is my last slide. So if we really want to address climate change issues, we need to first understand climate change analysis. What are the impacts of projected temperatures, precipitation, and storms and sea levels and so on? And then look at impact assessment. Okay, and then also when you're looking at it, you don't have to look at only climate as a variable, but how does it touch with other non-climate stressors? That could be demographic, infrastructure, transportation, and anything that touches it, or energy. And then look at science, engineering, analysis to technology and innovation. How can we make sure we do advances in those areas, can develop potential response strategies to address those through a lot of modeling and GIS kind of work that we do, really at the end to find solutions so that we can look at assets, people, including equity, justice, infrastructure, and so on, and at that stage to really engage with stakeholders and to address and evaluate different potential solutions. I think with this, I'll close my talk. We really do a lot deeper science. Maybe some other time I can share how we are targeting different areas and what kind of science we are producing, and also engaging with communities and non-profit sector to make an impact. Thank you.
I have a question. Yeah. First of all, thank you so much. This was wonderful for all the information and knowledge. How can Sewa volunteer participate with your organization? That is my question.
So there are multiple ways. We have, that's why I highlighted education. We have a lot of programs for undergrad and
High school students. We have programs for undergrad and high school students. So if there is a match, we'd like to collaborate with you or individually or as an organization to address those issues. And secondly is the research that we do. We by nature are very interested in doing collaborative research because we want to see the solutions that we produce are implemented in communities and the problems that the communities face we are targeting those products. So if you are working on few topics and ideas, please do touch base with me. It's not just with me, I would say with any university, okay, or any area or any researcher that you are interested in, be it recycling or climate or other sectors that you touch. Reach out to the universities, reach out to the faculty in those areas. These are the things that we are doing, how can we work with you? And I'm sure they will be very happy to hear that you're interested, because we always need partners.
Right.
Likewise, the way you're seeking partners, we need partners to make sure the things that we are creating has an impact.
Okay. Another question I have. Thank you so much. So, like for the Sewa volunteers, like are there any like short-term courses that they can, join and learn about your the kind of work that you're doing, and also for things like disaster recovery in those situations?
We don't have courses like this, but I think I would really encourage to University of Illinois Urbana-Champaign is a land grant university. We have Illinois Extension Office there. So Extension Office really works with a lot of communities around the state. So that's one of the organizations that you could touch, and that's their job, right? But the way, for example, you invited me to give a talk, I could have given a talk a lot more detailed about forestation or conservation or something like that, taking deeper in the science and how we collaborate and things we do. You could invite and I could refer to other faculty who can do that. That's one way of doing it. But to really engage, we work in multiple ways. Giving public talks, town halls, co-developing proposal ideas to really develop solutions that's a win-win situation for both academics as well as communities. So there are multiple pathways we could take, and I think we can talk more in what you are interested in. If I can help you or I can connect you with others whom you can benefit from.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Sharma. That was a lot of good information. I'm sure we can arrange for some additional sessions, both to benefit our adults and especially our youth, based on your availability. Dr. Sharma, we would like to hear more of the information from you. Thank you so much for coming today. All right. I guess Dr. Sharma will be around if anybody has other questions. I'm sure he'll be willing to talk to you separately, one-on-one over dinner. We will have time later. All right, moving along here, we are inviting Michelle Mussman, who's our state representative for the Illinois 56th District. My apologies. Thank you for joining us today. And Michelle Mussman has been a great supporter of all our activities, and we are very happy and honored to have you here. Please.
I really appreciate it, everybody. So I'm grateful to be here tonight. I'm grateful for the invitation to talk about the connection between 9/11 and your service. I know that many of the people in the room weren't alive when 9/11 happened. And I remember when I was a young person and my relatives would talk about changing events, whether it was the bombing of Pearl Harbor or the shooting of President Kennedy or the death of Martin Luther King Jr., that I didn't have a personal connection to that. And I didn't understand why it was so meaningful to them. And I think this is another indication of kind of where we are generationally, right? So for those of us who are alive, how incredibly shocking and devastating and personal it felt. And now we're 23 years away. And you're still trying to keep that sense of urgency and shock alive and turn something horrifying into something good, which is why I am glad that we are using that opportunity, that reminder of 9/11 and all of those horrors to do something good in your day of service. And this is how you are now going to engage in remembering that thing and having a connection in some way to the other friends and family who for them it is still very, very real. And I'm glad that you've chosen climate is that thing that you are working so much around, right? Because that is really going to drive international relations in the future. It's your quality of life close to home. Do you have clean water? Do you have clean air? Do you have clean food? Because that impacts your health, that's going to impact your family, that's going to impact everything day to day, right here where you live. But also we know it is an international crisis, and it behooves us to try and make sure that we are all okay one of the big things that I think we're reminded of in a tragedy like that is what is more similar for us than different. At the end of the day, we're just people. So whether you were the CEO of someone working in the World Trade Center or you were just the janitor, your life was that important. You were loved, you were cared for, you were missed. We're all just people. And it gets real easy for us, day to day, to forget we're all just people. And we use things to divide us, whether it's our race or our religion or our political affiliation or whatever that may be, we forget that we're people. And if we want to combat climate change and we want to take care of everyone and we want to make sure that unrest in other countries caused by climate change, whether it's the mudslide or the hurricane or the famine that may come from that and continue to foster instability, if we're going to get through this, we have to get through it together. We have to remember that at the end of the day, we're just people. And we're here on earth for a very short and unpredictable time. And in that time, we're gonna love other people and we're gonna be loved by them. And we just need to find a way to help each other through this. So if that is what we can remember through 9/11 and through our day of service and through learning and activating more around climate change, I think that is a good thing. Thank you very much for inviting me tonight.
Thank you, Representative Michelle Mussman. Thank you for being here and providing your support and your motivation. Thank you so much. Next, we have Peggy Shapiro. And Peggy has also been a wonderful supporter of all our activities over the year. And we're really thrilled to have you again today. And Peggy represents the stand with this organization. I'm sure she'll talk more about it. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Is it okay? I was very honored when you asked me to come and speak about the reasons to remember 9/11 together. There are 2,977 reasons. There were 2,977 victims. And we will not let their lives and deaths be erased. We also remember the heroes who rushed into the carnage to save people, and many didn't return, and others returned quite sick. But we have to remain inspired by their service and courage. Now, Nobel Peace Prize laureate Elie Wiesel, when he was talking about the Holocaust, said we have to remember the killing. To quote, "If we forget, the dead will be killed a second time. And then they're today's victims. So we must remember the victims. And we must remember the victims were not all Americans. 9/11 wasn't just an American tragedy. It included citizens of 90 different nations. We don't know the numbers of children who lost their parents, or parents who lost their children, or husbands and wives who said goodbye to each other in the morning, never thinking that they would not see each other again, and their lives would be forever changed. And as horrible as it was, 9/11 made the world for a moment what Sewa International believes a family. That devastation woke up good people around the globe, from individuals, families, schools, organizations, governments from 100 countries, sent condolence letters, postcards, journals, and newspapers, mass mailers lighting up their Capitol buildings. These condolence messages and materials were messages of hope at a time when our country was in despair. And sympathy for the American people, the orphan children, and the heroic first responders. But although the terrorists attacked the United States, the world remained interconnected by its common humanity. 9/11 was horrible, but not unique. I'm Jewish. Israel on October 7th suffered a terror attack that inflicted more massive deaths on the Jewish population than any time since the Holocaust. And since that attack, there have been 24 more terrorist attacks in Israel, including one in which 12 Druze children who were playing soccer were murdered on the soccer field. India has had a share of terror attacks. We all know about the Mumbai attacks, they call them 26/11, where there were 12 coordinated attacks. The world has been subject to terror attacks. Madrid bombing, to Paris, to Genoa, to Sweden, Germany, Argentina, New Zealand, almost every place on the globe. Across Africa, last week I was with 15 young men who had been slaves in Africa. Slaves in this day and age. And across Africa right now, there are millions of enslaved people taken by terrorist organizations. The boys and the men are slaughtered. The women are raped. Both of them are enslaved when possible. Now, we have to see the connection. There are terror activities across the world, but we need to connect the dots. The same as you do with the environment. You say, oh, there's a flood here, and there's a hurricane here, and you don't look at them as isolated things, because you will never get the picture. You have to look at the whole thing. We cannot afford myopic vision. We have to face the realities. So, for example, in India, you have Lakash el-Tabiya, and in Bangladesh, Harakat ul-Jihad, and Israel, Hamas, and Hezbollah, Philippines, Abu Sayyid Group, Somalia, Al-Shabaab, Nigeria, Boko Haram. There are different names, and if you look up and State Department list of designated terror groups, you see hundreds. There are hundreds of isolated dots, but we have to connect these dots when possible and look at the goal. There'll be hundreds of that, but the goal is one. And how do we know? We look at the groups, their manifestos and the charters. They tell us. It's not a surprise. And I believe that their goals are what they state. They want to establish authority in the world, gain dominion over other groups, deny other people the right to practice their own traditions and religions, and dominate with no questions, no dissent, no First Amendment rights, no freedom of the press. And so we realize that when we look at these various groups, Hamas is ISIS, ISIS is Al-Qaeda, Al-Qaeda is Boko Haram is Hezbollah, Hezbollah is Hamas. There are different names, but we have to look at them as a world event. If a nation suffers alone and isolated, it is very painful, but is also dangerous for everybody. We must not let others suffer alone, and I know that is your work. And so why do we remember? And why do we remember together? We remember for the past, for the sake of the victims and their loved ones, and for the future. A great philosopher, Satyananda, once said, "Those who do not know history are condemned to repeat it." We remember together, resolved not to repeat history. And when we remember together, we are fortified. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Peggy Shapiro, for that wonderful, insightful talk. We really appreciate it. We are also honored to have Dawn Horn. I think you're back there. Please come up to the front of the audience, we have all the delegates seated here. Thank you for joining us. And we also have one public service announcement. I think that will be beneficial to a lot of us. With the World Heart Day coming up, we have a community heart health promotional event that's being offered right here at the National India Hub in partnership with the Indian American Medical Association. This is coming up on the 28th of September. This is the coming Saturday from, I think we have from 10 a.m. to noon, and then there's like EKG and hands-only CPR training that's being offered as well. So it starts at 10 o'clock and it goes till 2 o'clock right here at the India Hub. If anybody is interested, please, you're definitely welcome to join. Next up, we are very honored to invite Vidya Nahar ji, who's a very well-known and a very renowned yoga and meditation expert. So we had invited her specifically. She's a great speaker too, but we thought it'll be more beneficial for the audience if we could benefit from some of her yoga inputs. So we are inviting her to do that. Maybe in the next 5 to 10 minutes, if we can do some yoga, maybe some laughter yoga as well. Yeah. Thank you.
Yes. Can you hear me without this, or?
I can hear without.
Climate is what? Is it something that's different from us, or are we part of the climate? Right? So in yoga we say that we are all, the entire world, including ourselves, we are all made of 5 great elements. Anybody knows, the youngsters? What are the 5 great elements we are all made of? It's called Pancha Mahabhutas. And those are all part of this climate. Anybody? Anybody want to take a guess?
Space.
Yes?
Air, water, fire, wind.
Air, water, so air and wind is same. Air, water, fire, 2 more.
Space.
Earth is
Space and earth. There you go. So how are these elements in all of us? Anybody knows? Where is the earth element in our body? Do we have an earth element? We all come from earth and we go back to the earth. So the food that we eat, our body, this is all earth element that you can see, feel, touch. So earth is in us. It's not just around us. We're not just standing on the earth, but earth is in us. So when we care for earth, we're actually caring for ourselves. It's not that something outside of us. How about water? Where is water in our body?
70% is water.
Right? It's just like Earth, Mother Earth, planet Earth has water, and that's why there's life here. You know, in Sanskrit, another name of water is called life. That means it is Jiva. And we have life on this planet because there's water. And as I said, 70% of our cells is all water. Okay, what else? Where is the fire element in the body? Digestive systems, right? This is our solar plexus. Whatever we eat, it's converted into the energy. And if it's not converted, if we have poor digestion, weak digestion, we have all kinds of issues, right? Where is the air element? Do we have the air element? Lungs are, we're constantly breathing, right? That's one thing we do from birth to death. What? Constantly breathing. Whether you're a man, woman, no matter what nationality, what race, rich, poor, we are all breathing the same air and breathing out the same air. And then, what's the last one? Space. Sky. Where is the space element in our body? It's a little bit harder, right? Everything else, okay, you can see up, water, air, fire. The space element, when we do all this yoga, what are we doing? Stretching, we're bringing the space inside. If we are all constricted, there is no space around our joints, will not be able to move, right? It will be all constricted. Everything functions under space and the sky. Nothing functions in a vacuum. So we all have the space around every single joint, muscle, every cell. So we are all, each and every one of us, exactly same replica of the entire universe and some climate. When we start taking care of ourselves, we automatically start contributing more to this climate care, right? So anytime you want to support something higher, larger than yourself, first you have to start taking care of what? The cells, the Panchamahatas in our body. So we're going to get started. It's not, we're going to, when you say yoga, what image comes to you? What do you think of it? Stretching, right? What else? Anything else? Breathing. Very good. What else? Meditation. There you go. So it's mind, body, spirit, everything. Right? So I'll suggest you all come over to the front end of your chair if you're comfortable and sit like this with your feet planted. So we are sitting most of the time, right? But if you start sitting your body more upright, many times what we say, oh, I can't do it, I don't have time, then I have to do this, I have to do that. There's lots of excuses that will come up. Or speak louder. What do you think? That's it? Okay. Thank you. And I usually like to remove my shoes, so I know some of you may not be comfortable anymore, but it's something that you can do easily if you do with your shoes. That gives you more wiggle room. So again, sitting more at the front edge of chair, engaging your core muscles, so not rounding, not sitting anyhow, somehow, and practice this wherever you are, whatever you are doing. This will right away help you what? Engage your core muscles. And then we're going to start with some eye muscle movements. You know, eyes are the most overutilized voluntary muscles in the body. Do you agree? We don't even think of eyes as muscles, right? Did you know that eyes are muscles? And what do we do with our eyes mostly? What? See, but what? What are we seeing mostly? Screens. Phones, right? Phones. Our eyes are very narrowly focused as our front, then we are constantly looking at the screens. Phones, tablets, TVs. So we're going to start with some eye muscle movements. So keep sitting up tall. For a second, take a look at your feet. Can you see your toes? If not, your feet are too close to you. So keep your feet more to the front. And without turning your head now, just look to the right. These are your eye muscle stretches. And look all the way to the left. Just the eyes moving, you sharpen your peripheral vision. Look straight up to the ceiling. And down towards your feet. Look straight ahead in front of you, as far in the front as you can see. You have a nice view there behind you. You can see the trees. And look at the tip of your nose. Look at your right upper corner. Inhale. Now start synchronizing your nose with your breath. Look at your left lower corner. Exhale. When you exhale, you draw the stomach in like you're squeezing the balloon. Look at your left upper corner. Inhale. And look at your right lower corner. Exhale. Don't hold your breath. Keep breathing. Look at your left upper corner. Inhale. So now diagonal eye muscle stretches. Left lower corner. Exhale. Right upper inhale. And right lower exhale. Now make 3 circles with your eyes in one direction. Deep, continuous, unbroken circles. And go the other way 3 times. Inhale as you roll your eyes up. Exhale as you roll your eyes down. And last time, now rapidly blink your eyes. Feel somewhat to your eyes. And you can do this throughout your day, wherever you're sitting, especially when you're looking at your computer. Take this time out and just do this 1 minute of eye muscle movement. It will be great for your, not just the eye, but the eyes are also attached to the brain, and eyes can be important to balances. So to start working your eye muscles, that also helps you with your brain health and your balance. Now the next thing, when you're constantly looking at phones, what gets affected? How about your neck, shoulders, right? You constantly have those cell phone necks looking down at the cell phone. You're going to start with some neck muscle movements without turning your head, with or without opening your eyes. You turn to the right side and you feel this simple stretch in the left side of your neck. Again, these are very simple moves that you can do wherever you are, whatever you are doing. Come back normal arm at your cell phones. So you're stretching your throat, compressing your neck. Slowly face front, bring your chin down to the throat, massaging your thyroid. Shoulders are relaxed, no tension anywhere in the body. Roll your head towards your right for a slow, thorough, deep neck rotation. Take your time, roll your head with your inhale and bring it down towards your left with your exhale. Now reverse. Inhale, roll your head up to the left and down towards your right with your exhale. And again, face front and face sides. We'll do the shoulders here. Lift and lower. Lift and lower. Lift, lower. Lift and roll your shoulders back. Are you still sitting up tall? Yes, maybe. Lift and roll your shoulders forward 3 times. Alright, now right where you are because we're not standing up, so we're going to just do 2 moves sitting down. So lean to the right side. Wherever you reach towards the right with your elbows open and center. And lean to the left. Give yourself this physical break throughout today. Inhale, center. Again to the right. Exhale. Inhale, center. And lean to the left. Center. Take your right elbow to the left knee diagonally across. Good. Inhale, center. Left elbow to the right knee. Working those obliques. Inhale, center, getting ready for that food. Right elbow to the left and center. Left to the right and center. Alright, take your break here. We'll come back to some breathing here. So place your right hand on your stomach and left hand on the chest. So ideally, which hand should be moving? Do you know when you breathe in and out? In this case, the right hand. Why is that? So you want to engage your diaphragm and make it deep diaphragmatic breathing and not just chest where your left hand is moving up and down but engaging your core muscles. So when you exhale, you draw the stomach in away from your right palm and inhale, let your stomach relax over your right palm. Again, exhale, stomach in. Inhale, relax the stomach. One more time, exhale, are you able to feel this? Engaging your core muscles. And inhale, relax. We'll do the same thing with your palms more by the rib cage here. It comes back, fingers toward the center. Open your palms like this. So this is how it will look. Exhale. Again, stomach in. Inhale, relax the stomach. Exhale, stomach in. Consciously drawing the navel in. Inhale, relax the stomach. One more time. Exhale and inhale. Now, do you think it's important to breathe like this? Engaging the diaphragm versus chest breathing? Yes, yes, why is that? Why? What does this do?
It's deeper.
Huh?
It's deeper.
It's deeper, very good. So you're bringing in more oxygen, you're letting out more carbon dioxide, what else? Why is deep breathing so important?
Relaxing.
So what it is deeper?
It's relaxing.
It's relaxing because now you're activating your body's parasympathetic nervous system versus the sympathetic nervous system, which is what? Fight, flight, or freeze. So this way, through this deep, slow diaphragmatic breathing, you're activating the parasympathetic nervous system, which has a soothing, calming effect on the mind-body complex. It also engages your core muscles, and you are actually strengthening your core muscles. Each breath you are exhaling, drawing the stomach in, inhale, relax the stomach. Have you done those crunches? Anybody? To strengthen the abdominal muscles? Yes? Can you do those crunches in your classroom? When there is a lecture, suddenly get on the floor. Hey, I forgot to do my crunches this morning. Can I do 10 crunches? Can you do that? No? Can you do that in the movie theater? In a business? No? But can you do that wherever you are? Can you breathe? Yes? Have you ever heard, hey, go home and breathe, it's not appropriate to breathe here? Anybody told you that? No, right? So you're constantly breathing from birth to death. You might as well use it for advantage by engaging our deep diaphragmatic muscles. Diaphragm is a dome-shaped muscle that separates our chest and abdominal cavities. Exhale, stomach in, inhale, relax the stomach. If you start breathing consciously, you are on the way to practicing your yoga. Yoga doesn't mean you get into some complicated physical position. You just focus on your breath throughout your day. You are practicing your conscious breathing. Breathing is the only process in the body we can do consciously and unconsciously, voluntarily, involuntarily. But how are we breathing most of the time? Unconsciously, right? And when we breathe unconsciously, what happens? Our physical activity, our mental state affects our breathing. Whereas on the other hand, if you start breathing consciously, you can start altering the mind and state of mind and body with kind of breathing. So I'll leave you with one breathing technique, which is alternate nostril breathing. So place your right thumb on your right nostril and your right index finger and middle finger between your two eyebrows. So now your left nostril is open. When you exhale to the left, first breath is always exhale, make room for the new breath to come in. When you exhale, remember to draw the stomach in. Then you inhale from left. Make it as deep as you can. Close the left nostril, open the right, and exhale. Draw the stomach in and exhale. So you're forcing breath from one nostril to other. Inhale from your right. Close right with your thumb, open left and exhale. Now we're going to add holding of the breath. So now as you exhale, close that left nostril with the right finger, keep your breath outside. This is called retention of the breath or holding of the breath. Now open that left nostril, inhale from left. Close left with your right finger, hold your breath inside. Even if it's for 2, 3, 5 seconds. Now open right and exhale. Draw the stomach in as you exhale. Again, keep your breath outside, close it with your thumb. Open right, inhale. And close the right, holding your breath inside. Open your left and let your palm rest. So what are the benefits of this? If you practice this alternate nostril breathing every day, it has an equalizing effect on the mind-body complex. Yoga is all about equanimity, the equanimity between the extreme polarities. Night and day, rise and fall, success and failure, present, insert. You start practicing alternate nostril breathing, you'll be able to maintain your equanimity no matter what comes your way. With that, if your index fingers comes together like this, palms facing the sky. So this is one of the meditative gestures which we call Chin Mudra, gesture of consciousness. Just close your eyes and simply observe your breath here. Again, exhale, you draw the navel in, inhale, relax the stomach. Either into the past or into the future. Past cannot be changed, future is unknown. So instead of worrying about either of those, stay fully present in this moment, connected to your breath. Breath is an excellent meditative tool because it keeps us in the present moment. And whenever you are ready to finish this session, bring your hands behind you, interlace your fingers in the back. Exhale, bow down to Mother Earth for all the kindness. Inhale as you come up to thank the sun for the energy and the light. One more exhale down, being thankful for everything we have and everything we don't have here up. One last exhale down, gesture of a yogi, forgive as you go down and forget as you come up. We are done. I'm going to finish with laughter. So we're going to finish and laughter yoga, okay? So laughter yoga is, again yoga. Laughter is a big exercise. How many of you know laughter yoga? No, kind of? Yes, okay. Alright, right. So if you don't mind, if you all want to come more towards the front, if you mind coming out of your chairs, yes, you can just stand in a circle, yes. A little bit closer, everybody. Come out. Come out. That will make it a more community. Some of you want to come on the stage, that's okay too. Just come up. We have you more in a circular fashion. We are making it bigger. Laughter is a big exercise. You start by inhaling first. And this is, laughing for the sake of laughing. I don't get into those. You don't have to worry about that. So, again, yeah, that's very good. I'm going to take a deep breath in and laugh it out. Just like this. Hey, hey, hey. Okay, laughter is the universal language. Hey, hey, everybody knows you're laughing. Okay, so starts yawning. So one person starts laughing, you start laughing. Take a deep This time you're going to actually coax every person here. You give their eyes with your hands folded, or you give it thumbs up, or you give it fist bump, or 3 fingers, whatever you want to do. Just look in that person's eye and greet them, and just thank them for being a wonderful human being and with us here. Make sure you go to every person, make that eye connection. Don't put anything back. Just take a deep breath in. Many people, I actually love laughing quietly. You're here. It's not like this. Be like the lady. Don't make noise. Not provide all those kinds of things. So kind of suppress a lot of these emotions and like this. So you don't actually laugh like this. Okay, take a deep breath in and open your mouth. You're gonna just laugh, but you're going to get deep breath. You will actually feel much more in your stomach and your face. Take a deep breath in. Did you feel that? Yes, you can feel much more in your stomach, in your face. And laughter has tons of medical health benefits. This is a very like research topic. Yes, so you can always go back and see what laughter does. We don't want to make it depend on anything outside of us, right? It is our job to keep ourselves healthy. So we cannot wait for somebody else to show us a funny video or tell us a funny joke and then we laugh, right? Laugh it whenever it feels for you, and all the time it is the best medicine. We just have to keep practicing it on our own. It does not need doctor's appointment, no copay, no medical insurance, no side effects, and we can practice it wherever we want ourselves. So keep laughing.
Thank you.
Wow. Thank you so much, Vidya ji. That was Thank you so much. Vidya ji is a great supporter. She's also part of the Sewa Chicago advisory team. So one more round of applause for the great session. Thank you so much. Next up, we are inviting Dr. Parth. I'm so sorry, Dr. Parth Patel. Next up, we are inviting him. He is a U.S. Army doctor since 27.
There we go. Hi everybody. Sorry I got a little late today.
So that's me. Like, I do trauma surgery in the U.S. Army. I serve as a reserve. Thank you, all of you guys, to leave us a great team in the back. And on 9/11, I mean, it was a shocking day for all of us, right? And that day, like, I kind of decided that I want to join the Army or any kind of service. But then Army was my thing, because my name is Parth, and then that means son of earth. so Army was a thing for me, right? And yeah, it's always great. Like my team is my family, rather than my family back home. But I have a really small team in the Army, which is like 27 people. We serve as a forward resuscitation and surgical unit, and I can always count on my team for anything. Maybe sometimes I would not talk to my parents about a lot of things, but I would always talk to my team about anything. All the youngsters out here, like, no matter what career you want to choose or you want to go for, our services or all the armed services have options for you. And trust me, guys, like there is no other better option out there. Like I would always do the same thing again and again whenever I get a choice. There are days when you feel that you're not there or you don't want to do it, but always remember there is something bigger than you. Like I see today, in today's time, a lot of kids, I would say, or people in general, they are so stuck into their own problems, their own things, that they just cannot see the bigger picture. They are just like, oh, my studies, my this, my that. We all know what's going on, right? But those are the things which will always keep you down. If you want to raise up, always look at the bigger picture, live for people, and that will make you a better human and overall in general.
There you go. Yeah, so about the 9/11 thing that, and then there are many more other events like that. As Indians, we know America, 9/11 was just kind of starting for us, right? I don't know what era you guys were in, but it's been going on. Like, you guys know it, you guys don't know it, it's been going on. So, the way I told you, it's like, just always look at the bigger picture, and bigger picture is humanity at the end of the day. So, that's about it. I mean, I don't know, I'm not that good of a speaker, and I wasn't even prepared to talk, but here I am. And yeah, just look forward, guys, and anything, if you have any questions about military or in general, I'll be around. Can talk to, especially all the young kids who are here. Yeah, I'll be there. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Patel. We really appreciate you being here. Next, we want to invite Ed Behrens from our American Legion Palatine post to say a few words, and we have 4 representatives from that American Legion post, and Ed is going to speak on behalf of all of them. They represent all of the generation from the 50s through the 2000s, so we have a great mix. Thank you for joining us.
Can everyone hear me? Yes. Okay, good. All right, my name is Ed Behrens. I was a veteran from the United States Navy. On 9/11, I was on board the USS Howard in Bath, Maine. We were scheduled to pull out of Bath, Maine. We were supposed to pull in New York on that Friday. 9/11 was a Tuesday. And I was in Combat Information Center, so if you're familiar with the movies, that's the room with all the radars and the screens and all that. And that was an Aegis class destroyer. It was Arleigh class destroyer with the Aegis system. So if you see the new movies, that's where I was when that happened. We got word. First, it was the first plane, and then I was at the office, and there's a little office behind CIC. I was a CIC officer. And then they said the second one. So then we went to our staterooms and the wardroom to see what was going on, because that's where we had CNN on. And then we saw, oh my God. And then the messages started coming in like crazy from the admirals and the Navy saying, all ships that can't get underway get to sea within 24 hours. We've never seen that. the captains, no one has ever seen that since World War II, and Pearl Harbor. But America was under attack, and we were the front line right there. But we were at Back Maine because that's where they built the ships, and we were brand new, and we didn't have a bullet to our name. We had nothing. So we got underway within a day or two, and we were off the coast of New England, patrolling around Boston, Newport, and we pulled into Newport later that week to pick up some bullets. And when we pulled in, you know, the big reaction, we were in town, we were talking to other people there, how much they appreciate just seeing our ship, you know, patrolling out. They could see us on the horizon. Even though we didn't have any bullets, we had a very powerful radar that could cover an air